I want to talk to you today about something we all carry, touch, and look at countless times a day, our phones. It's the one object that has become more personal than even our wallets, our keys, maybe even our homes. For many of us, the phone is the last thing we see before sleep and the first thing we touch in the morning. And while I've always been fascinated by technology, there's something about this relationship we have with our devices that keeps me awake at night. Because the truth is, your phone is not just a tool, it's shaping you in ways you notice and in ways you don't. But before I dive deeper into these patterns, let me ask you something. When was the last time you realized your phone was changing your mood, your focus, maybe even your decisions? Think about it. Did you ever feel anxious because you left it in another room? Or maybe you caught yourself scrolling long after you said, just 5 more minutes? Drop your experience in the comments. I want to see how many of us have felt the same pull, the same grip. I want to see if you have felt that strange panic when you reach for your pocket and it is not there. That moment of disorientation as if you've lost a part of yourself. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you already picked up your phone today? 5 times, 10, 50, 100? And now think how many of those times were a conscious choice and how many were just an automatic movement of your hand. This difference between intention and habit is exactly what I want to talk about, because somewhere along the way between the moment smartphones became part of our lives and today something fundamental shifted. We stopped simply using our phones, we started living through them, we started measuring our worth through them, we started experiencing reality through a screen before experiencing it with our own senses. Consider how strange this is when you really stop to examine it. You're at a concert and instead of watching the performance with your own eyes, you're watching it through your phone screen recording something you'll probably never watch again. You're at dinner with friends and you're photographing your food before you taste it, making sure the lighting is right, the angle is perfect so you can share it with people who aren't even there. You're on vacation in a beautiful place, but you are more concerned with getting the perfect photo for your social media than actually absorbing the beauty of where you are. We've become documentarians of our own lives, so busy capturing moments that we forget to live them, and I'm not speaking from a position of judgment here. I've been there myself. I've felt that magnetic pull of the screen when I'm trying to focus on something important, but my hand unconsciously reaches for my pocket. I have felt that strange emptiness when the battery dies and suddenly you feel cut off from the world even when you're standing among people. I've experienced the bizarre contradiction of feeling lonely while scrolling through hundreds of social connections. Here's what I've noticed over years of observation, both of myself and others. Phones give us the illusion of control while quietly taking some of it away. On one hand, they empower us in ways that were unimaginable a few decades ago. A single device lets you run businesses from anywhere in the world, connect across continents in real time, and learn anything instantly. You can order food, call a ride, transfer money, learn a new skill, find answers to the most complex questions, all from a device that fits in your palm. You have access to more information than the greatest libraries of ancient civilizations. You have communication tools that would have seemed like magic to people just 50 years ago. This is genuinely incredible when you stop and think about it. Yet at the same time, this pocket-sized rectangle knows more about you than most people in your life. It knows where you were today, what you searched for last week, who you talked to, how many hours you slept, what shops you visited, what songs move you, what articles irritate you. It knows your fears through what you Google at 3 o'clock in the morning. It knows your dreams through the videos you save. It knows your weaknesses through what you click on again and again, even when you promise yourself you won't do it anymore. It knows when you're sad, when you're bored, when you're anxious, when you're avoiding something important, and worse, it uses that information to predict, nudge, and sometimes trap you in cycles you never asked. 4. Algorithms learn your patterns better than you consciously understand them yourself. They know when you're most vulnerable to distraction, when you're most likely to click on an ad, when you're feeling lonely and seeking connection, and they use this knowledge not to make your life better, but to keep you engaged, glued to the screen, for as long as possible. Because every minute you spend on your phone is a minute they can monetize. Every scroll is data, every click is profit. I've seen brilliant engineers, people who can design rockets, write complex code, solve mathematical problems that would break most people lose hours to meaningless swiping. I've watched them, these incredible minds, reduced to dopamine-seeking machines, scrolling through content they don't even care about, unable to stop. I've seen friends who claim they're just checking one thing, spend half a night chasing dopamine through endless notifications, their faces lit by the blue glow, their eyes glazed over. In that familiar trance state we all recognize. I have seen mothers who want to be present with their children but can't tear themselves away from the screen. I have seen fathers who complain about teenagers being constantly on their phones yet do the exact same thing at the dinner table, and I felt it myself, the strange sense that if I don't respond, don't scroll, don't check, that somehow I'm missing out on life. That acronym, FOMO, fear of missing out, has become so common, we forget how strange it is that we needed a term for it. Except the life I'm missing is the one happening right in front of me, the conversation with the friend sitting across from me, the sunset I barely noticed because my eyes were locked on a screen, the idea that could have emerged in silence, but silence doesn't exist anymore because we fill every pause with scrolling, the chance to be alone with our thoughts, to process our experiences, to simply be all sacrificed at the altar of constant connectivity. The paradox is undeniable, and it becomes more painful the more we think about it. Phones bring us closer, yet often make us feel more alone. They give us access to millions of people, yet we can feel isolated in a crowded room if no one is texting us back. They give us constant access to information, entertainment, and connection, yet also constant distraction from what actually matters. They help us grow, learn, and develop, but they also quietly drain our energy, our attention, our capacity for deep thought. They promise to save us time with their efficiency, yet they steal more time than any other object in human history, and once you start paying attention, you realize this isn't random, it's by design. There are entire teams of the smartest people in the world working to make your phone impossible to ignore. They study psychology, neuroscience, behavioral economics. They run A or B tests on button colors, notification sounds, message phrasings. They know that red creates more sense of urgency, that loading bars make you wait, that unfinished tasks stick in your mind longer because of the Zeigarnik effect. They know that variable rewards, not knowing what you'll get when you open that app, are more addictive than predictable ones. That's why slot machines work. That's why you keep pulling down to refresh your feed, hoping this time there will be something interesting. The entire industry is built on what they call user engagement, but what really means maximizing your screen time. The longer you're there, the more data they collect, the more ads they can show you, the more money they make. Your attention is the product they're selling to advertisers, and if the product is free, then the product is you, your eyeballs, your time, your mental space, your psychological vulnerabilities, all for sale to the highest bidder. So, what exactly is your phone doing to you? Let's start with the hidden costs, the things you don't notice at first, but that accumulate over time like toxins in your system. When you check your phone dozens, maybe hundreds of times a day, your brain starts rewiring itself. It becomes addicted to novelty, craving the quick hit of a notification or a message. This isn't just a metaphor, it's measurable. Dopamine pathways in the brain literally light up when the screen glows. The same pathways that light up with drug use, with gambling, with any addictive behavior. Over time, your ability to focus on slow, deep work begins to weaken, your attention span shortens, your patience diminishes, your tolerance for boredom evaporates. There are studies showing that just having your phone on the desk, even if it's face down and you're not looking at it, reduces your cognitive performance. Part of your brain is always monitoring it, waiting for what might happen, ready to react to any sound or vibration. This is called attentional residue, and it drains your mental energy even when you think you are just ignoring the phone. You are not fully present anywhere because part of you is always wondering what is happening on that device. Did someone text? Did someone comment? Did something important happen? What am I missing? And here's the kicker, it's not just you, it's almost everyone. When I ask friends how often they pick up their phones each day, the numbers they admit to are already shocking. Most people guess maybe 20 times, maybe 30. That already sounds like a lot. But then I ask them to check their screen time statistics and suddenly their eyes widen. Their faces change because the truth is always worse than what we're willing to believe. Hours slip away. Whole evenings disappear into feeds designed to be bottomless. Engineered to never satisfy, crafted to always leave you wanting just one more scroll. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. That's once every 10 minutes of your waking life. Think about that. Every 10 minutes, your concentration is broken, your train of thought is disrupted, your presence in the moment is shattered, and we wonder why we struggle to complete projects, why we feel so scattered, why our relationships feel shallow. We wonder why we can't remember what we did last week. Why time seems to slip through our fingers like sand. It's because we're not fully living our lives. We're skimming the surface, distracted, fragmented, never quite here. But there's another side to the story, and I can't ignore it because that would be dishonest. It would be too easy to paint phones as purely villainous, and that's not the whole truth. But let's be honest, phones aren't all bad. They've saved lives. Think about the person who had a heart attack and was able to call for help immediately, the lost hiker who used GPS to find their way back, the accident victim whose phone automatically alerted emergency services. Think about the person in a rural area who can now access courses from the world's best universities through their phone, the entrepreneur in a developing nation who can now compete in global markets, the patient who can now consult with specialists thousands of miles away, the child who can video call their parent deployed overseas. The artist who can share their work with the world without needing a gallery or publisher. The activist who can organize protests and document injustices. The student who can learn anything they want, anytime, anywhere. These are real, tangible benefits that have transformed billions of lives for the better. They are tools of empowerment, learning, and communication. They've democratized access to information in a way that would have seemed impossible to previous generations. They've given marginalized communities platforms to tell their stories. They've connected people with rare diseases to others like them. They've enabled remote work, freeing people from geographic constraints. They've preserved memories, documented history as it happens, given everyone a voice in the global conversation. So we stand at a crossroads, and it's not a simple one. How do we embrace the gift of technology without letting it consume us? How do we hold the power without being held by it? How do we keep the benefits while minimizing the harms? This is the question of our time, and it doesn't have easy answers because the phone itself is neutral. It's what we do with it, how we relate to it, the boundaries we set or fail to set that determines whether it enriches or diminishes our lives. I think about the conversations I've had with teenagers who don't remember a world before smartphones. For them, life without constant connection feels impossible, unimaginable, like asking them to live without air. They've never known the experience of being truly unreachable, of having hours stretch out with nothing but their own thoughts and the physical world around them. They've never known the particular kind of freedom that comes from not being accessible every moment of every day, and yet many of them admit they feel lonelier than ever. Why? Because even when surrounded by hundreds of online friends, they don't always feel seen. That's the strange irony of our time. Nobody posts about their failures, their boring Tuesday afternoons, their unwashed hair and pile of dishes. They post the vacation, the promotion, the perfect meal, the flattering angle. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel, and that's a game you can never win. It is like comparing your rough draft to someone else's published book and wondering why yours doesn't measure up, but we do it anyway again and again, even though we know it makes us feel terrible. Phones also alter our relationships in quiet ways that we don't always notice until it is too late. I've sat at dinner tables where every person is scrolling instead of talking, where the only sound is the occasional chuckle at a meme, but no real laughter shared between actual people. I've seen couples sitting next to each other, physically present but miles apart, each lost in separate worlds of glowing screens, their bodies together but their attention scattered across a dozen different digital spaces. And maybe you've noticed it too, that hollow silence when no one looks up, no one truly listens, no one is really there. It's not that people don't care. It is that the phone has become the easiest way to fill the space where real connection should be, where vulnerability should happen, where actual intimacy could develop if we just put the damn things down. We've lost the art of boredom. And with it, we've lost something precious, because boredom is where creativity emerges. Boredom is where self-reflection happens. Boredom is where you actually process your experiences and figure out what you think and feel. But we don't allow ourselves to be bored anymore. Every waiting room, every line, every quiet moment is immediately filled with scrolling. We're so afraid of being alone with our thoughts that we'll do anything to avoid it, even if what we're doing instead is completely meaningless. And yet, even here, there's another side. Phones can strengthen bonds in ways that were impossible before. A call from a friend at the right moment can save you from despair, can remind you that you're not alone in whatever you're struggling with. A message from family can remind you that you're loved even when you feel unlovable. Access to a community can make you feel less alone in your struggles. Whether that's a support group for a medical condition, a forum for a hobby, or just a group chat with people who get your sense of humor. For every story of a relationship harmed by screens, there's one of a relationship saved by them, maintained across distance and time zones, kept alive through the simple act of staying connected. That's the contradiction we live in, the paradox we navigate every single day. The same tool that isolates us can also heal us. The same device that distracts us can also empower us. The same technology that fragments our attention can also expand our capabilities. And maybe that's the point. It's not the phone itself, but how we use it. It's not about the technology being good or evil, but about us being conscious or unconscious in our relationship with it. So maybe the real question isn't what is my phone doing to me, but what am I allowing it to do? Because that shift in perspective changes everything. It moves us from victim to agent, from passive to active, from control to in control. It reminds us that we have choice even when it doesn't feel like it, even when the pull of the phone feels overwhelming, even when the habit feels unbreakable, we still have the power to choose differently. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Your phone isn't going anywhere, it's not going to vanish from your life, and honestly, I don't think it should. Technology is part of who we are now, woven into the fabric of modern existence in ways we can't and shouldn't try to undo. The challenge is learning to live with it without losing ourselves in it. The challenge is maintaining our humanity in an increasingly digital world. The challenge is being connected without being consumed. If you want to reclaim control, start with awareness. Notice how often you pick up your phone without thinking. Notice how you feel before, during, and after scrolling. Are you more energized or more drained? More connected or more alone? More informed or more anxious? More inspired or more inadequate? Awareness is the first step to freedom. You can't change what you don't see. You can't address a problem you haven't acknowledged. Next, set boundaries. And this is harder than it sounds because you are fighting against years of conditioning and millions of dollars of psychological engineering. But it's possible. That could mean no phones at the dinner table, creating a sacred space where people actually look at each other. It could mean turning off notifications that don't serve you so you are not constantly interrupted by things that don't matter. It could mean creating phone-free hours each day to let your brain breathe, to remember what it is like to think without interruption. It could mean not sleeping with your phone next to your bed, not checking it first thing in the morning before you've even figured out who you are that day. These small steps sound simple, almost trivially so, but they can shift the way you experience not just your device, but your life. They can give you back time you didn't know you were missing. They can improve relationships you thought were fine. They can restore a sense of presence you forgot you could have. Share this with someone who might need permission to put their phone down, to be present, to remember what it feels like to live without constant digital noise. Subscribe if you want to explore how we can use technology without being used by it, how we can stay connected without losing ourselves in the process. When did you first notice your phone was controlling you rather than the other way around? What was the moment that made you realize something needed to change? Sharing your experience might help someone else recognize they're not alone in this struggle, that we're all navigating this together.